Good boy, Tucker.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome.
Work smarter where you want.
Consistency is key.
And remember, if it's not in Redtail, it never happened.
This is learning at its most fun.
Everyday efficiency is all about starting your day, getting off on the right foot, getting started on the right foot, and beginning the day in a way that works for you. And that's important for how you wake up in the morning, your morning routine. We've all learned that in this remote working environment that keeping our morning schedule is very important, even if we're not doing our regular commute or whatever it is.
Oh, that's absolutely true. I've gotten really bad. We've been working from home for the past 7-8 months. I mean, I've lost track. We've been working at home for 2020, and a lot of people, and my morning routine is not the same every single day. And I've forced myself the past few weeks to get out of bed and actually shower, not wait till after work. It makes a big difference to have those things that you do the same way every single time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm a little obsessive compulsive. I don't know if you know that about me, Curtis. So I even have a little morning checklist, brush my teeth or feed the dogs. Because if I don't have that little list, I might forget one of those things. And the dogs may let me know, but I want to make sure that I get all those things done. And the same approach goes with Redtail.
And I love how you're talking about that, because I do want to point out the things we're going to be talking about in this section might seem very basic. Okay, so I don't want to scare anybody away because this seems so basic. These are actually some foundation tools that we want to be pointing out. Even though they are basic, we're going to be building on them. So it's really important that we do mention them now, because there are things we're going to be building off throughout this presentation and throughout the whole series. Okay, so keep that in mind. If it seems simple now, there is a point to it.
Absolutely. And to build on that too, this section is not just for beginners. It's not just for experienced users. We've got something for everyone, and we've got specific tips for new users, specific tips for experienced users, and then specific tips for everyone that we will be going through for each of these items. And even if you think you know all of it, I guarantee you'll pick up one or two different tips that'll help streamline your day-to-day. So with that, let's get started in the way that I would love to begin my day every day, and that's with a crossword puzzle. So topics we'll be covering. Oops. See, I need more coffee.
More coffee, that's okay, but you gave away the surprise. That's okay. We're going to be covering certain topics.
Accessing Redtail, resources, contact management tips, relationships, and database organization. So we'll be talking about all of that as well as task management. And we really wanted to take an approach of an organizational mindset, kind of having the prepared mentality walking into your day and walking into Redtail, because Redtail should be the first thing that you log into typically. So having these efficiency tips is just going to help make everything in your day go faster.
Awesome.
I did give away the surprise.
You did, but the surprise is up next. We're starting with a crossword puzzle. So again, we're going to be playing a little game here. This is actually going to be the point where we're going to ask you to respond into the chat function. We're going to be going in order, so please don't try and jump ahead, even though we got those on there. But we're going to be starting at 1 all the way down through 6, and we're going to give you a few little pointers for each of these different answers as we go through.
Susan's got it. Angela's got it. Tina's got it. Monica, Regina, Barbara. Okay, you guys know what it is.
We got to ask the question first.
Oh, sorry. Blank to Redtail every morning, first thing.
Log in. Perfect. So many people have typed it in. We're going to log in to Redtail every morning, first thing. Perfect. So let's talk about what entails logging in. What can you do, Haley?
So for new users, where do I start? Where do I begin? And the biggest thing when you're a new user is that you have a lot of preferences. Just like a lot of other web programs or logins, you have an option to adjust and personalize some of the components of Redtail tailored to your needs. So here you can set a default login page that best fits your role and responsibilities. So that's where you can go under your name in the top right-hand corner to preferences, and then actually set your default login page. So what that looks like in Redtail is under your name, preferences, and then your default login page is the activities dashboard. For me, I like the activities dashboard because it's a list view. But if you're an advisor, you may prefer the market news. If you're an administrator and you're constantly scheduling, you may prefer the calendar.
Awesome. Awesome. I do love that because I normally go to the Today page, but I know a lot of people will want to work on their calendar like that different view. That's really where you do want to set up.
I also love this because it sets a shortcut for you.
Oh,
so
true.
Your default login page is becomes a shortcut. The Redtail logo in the top left corner will take you directly to your default login page every time.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, the second one on there, do we already, oh, you said the top left corner. Well, for experienced users. So again, so that was the tip for the new users. For you experienced users, and actually this is something that a lot of people don't know, is you can use web links. It's essentially a shared bookmark within Redtail. And so web links inside is, again, just think of it like a bookmark, but it's only a bookmark for things you need that are maybe are attached to Redtail. When you put a web link in, everybody has access to that same link. So it's a way for you to create a bookmark folder for everyone in your database. And so Haley actually went to her name in the top right-hand corner, chose the dropdown, and clicked on web links. It's going to pop up and ask you where do you want to go. If you hit manage web links, you can then actually create new ones for this list. And again, this is shared amongst everybody in your database, but you'll see that she has the login for Allbridge there. Oh, you got books to read, investment news, all these different links that you can actually create and set up. So it's just easier access. You know, so if there's a certain list of items, like other programs that maybe you have other users in your database need to be logging into, I mean, like Haley, I know is really organized with all this stuff. And honestly, like I love Haley's organization. She'll normally write up what she does and send it to the other trainers. And part of me is like, I don't want to go through all this work. Well, the fact that Haley did that in web links for us means I don't have to go in and create all these different bookmarks. So if you are the more go-getter user, you can actually set up your whole database for success just by using these web links. And again, anybody can do it by going to your name in the top right and then clicking on web links.
So that's our tip for experienced users. Thank you, Curtis. And then something for everybody is the ability to utilize a browser feature. It's not really a Redtail feature. It's actually a browser feature. And that's to right click and open pages in new tabs. So what you can do then is when you're on any page in Redtail, say I was on my web links and I was looking at what pages I wanted to add to my web links, you can right click over here, the calendar, and open the link in a new tab. And that's going to open a new browser window of my Redtail calendar. So I can have a contact open, a calendar open, and some other third page, maybe a workflow open as well.
Definitely. And it's, again, Haley mentioned it's a browser function. So it's just something anybody could do because we're a web-based platform.
And then an extra tip on that one for anyone who's been a Redtail user for a while, if you control click or command click, depending on if you're in a PC or a Mac, press and hold the control key or press and hold the command key and click on a calendar activity from this page, this will open the activity in a new tab. So that's a question we get a lot on the calendar, is how to use that same function. And that's by clicking that control or command key.
Awesome. And then also you can move modals around when adding notes and activities. Like, what does that actually mean? Haley, go ahead and choose to add an activity. I've seen a lot of the times when people have like created an activity or making a note and they need to see something behind the page. Before you couldn't move it, but now we want to point out that if you're adding something that pops up, you can drag that box to see what's behind you on the screen. And again, this is just something that's great for everyone, because it's one of those things, if you don't know to click and move it, you might not have that ability or of that function itself. So keep in mind, you can drag and drop the boxes on your screen to see what's behind it.
All right, so we finished our first question and answer to our crossword puzzle. Let's move on to our second question. Use the question mark icon to access Redtail blank. So go ahead and answer us in the chat what you think that answer is.
Oh, this is a tricky one. This really is a tricky one. We're getting a lot of help desk, question, support, training. I don't think I'm actually seeing the right answer yet. But Haley, what is it here? What's number 2?
Anthony got it.
Ooh, did we?
And Barbara got it. Or no, Anthony got it. It was resources. Jim got it.
Perfect. Resources. So use the question icon to access Redtail resources. I love resources because I think as trainers, we live out of the help desk icon. It's really, we have to go there to get all the information. There's no way I can retain everything in my own head.
The biggest thing I always say on any training or any phone call with any client ever is if you remember nothing else, remember that the question mark in the top right-hand corner is where you go for help. And we really try to cater to whatever your learning style is. If you want to watch a video, we've got videos. If you want to read an article, we've got articles. If you want to talk to somebody, you can do that too. If you want to email us, you can do that too. So we really try and switch it up and meet you where you're at and what's going to be the most helpful for you guys. So if you remember nothing else from today, remember the question mark icon.
Awesome. So let's give some tips for new users. When you go to that question icon, we want to point out you can actually submit a help desk ticket directly from that question mark. So again, question mark in the top right hand corner, and you're actually going to see something that says submit a help ticket. Where it say, yeah, submit a help ticket right in the middle. You can fill out the subject, the description, and then what it's related to. This is going to be things like, is it CRM? Is it imaging? Like, what specifically do we need to help with? What's great about doing it through the actual help desk this way is it tells us exactly what your username is, what your database ID is. So if it's actually like an issue where our task team needs to fix, we can do it a little bit faster because we know who your database is. You can actually do the same thing directly just by emailing us at support@redtailtechnology.com. But a lot of the times people forget to tell us what their username is. So we have to do another email saying, okay, who are you? Give us this information. Doing it through the actual resource area gives it just an extra step so we can possibly go a little bit faster for you.
Absolutely. So that's that submit a help ticket option. You can also call our team for walkthroughs, questions, additional resources, etc. So that's where we're available 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 to 8 Eastern. So give us a call anytime. I recommend trying to call at the beginning normally, when you open, because that's when hold times tend to be shorter around lunch. They will lengthen, but then at the end of the day, they're short again. And then for experienced users, check out the help desk for articles, sample templates, and more. And we'll be talking and going to the help desk throughout today and tomorrow. But just know there's a lot of different articles that can be searched via keywords, or even you can type in something like onboarding workflow, and we have a template for that, or client death, and we have a process to help walk you through that, or RMDs, any of those.
Exactly. Just using those keywords in the searching of help desk will help you find information a little bit faster. And again, even if you can't find it through the help desk, submit a help ticket and we can actually find the article for you and help you that way. So again, experienced users can take advantage of the suggestions we're giving to new users as well. And then a tip that we have for everybody. Oh, do you mind if
Oh, go for it. This is your
a
thing.
tip that we have for everybody here is we have live Redtail webinars every Thursday. So every Thursday at 11 o'clock Pacific time, we have a Thursday webinar, and you'll see from the question mark in the bottom left there, it says Redtail webinars. This will take you directly to the page that has all of the past recorded webinars, as well as we'll have the list of upcoming webinars. Now, a question I know that we're probably getting a lot already, if you guys are typing the question, yes, this presentation is being recorded and it will be posted. So today and tomorrow will be recorded and we will be posting. They should be up by next week. Okay, so again, we are going to be posting those. You can view this replay anytime after we post them. But we want to give that opportunity so those who couldn't make the training today can still view the information later.
And then all of those recorded webinars are on YouTube and the help desk.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, you mentioned YouTube. You can just go to YouTube and search Redtail Technology and you can find us there. So if you want to watch the videos, subscribe to the channel. You'll get emails anytime we add a brand new recorded webinar.
All right, let's go back to our crossword puzzle. And our next question is number 3. There is no limit to the number of blank in your CRM.
Oh, I think people got this one.
Yeah, Melissa, Sandra, Jennifer, Regina, Elizabeth, Tina, Michelle, Derek, Tia, Anthony. Wow, you guys all got it. Everybody got it right. Awesome. So this one's contacts. And this is a misconception, I feel like. Sometimes I get on the phone and someone will say, you know, oh, we have X number of contacts. What's too many? Well, not that I want to encourage digital hoarding, but you can have as many as you want and as many as you need, really, I should say. Now, you don't want duplicates, but you do want to have everyone who is within your client's realm or within your client's life cycle. So this is going to be leads, prospects, clients, inactive clients. I get the question a lot, how long do I keep inactive clients? As long as you want.
That's
right,
true.
Curtis?
I mean, even you can delete contacts out of your database and then call us 5 years later and we can restore them for you. You can upload whatever contacts you need, but we just want to point out there is no limit to the contacts themselves. Now, depending on like what you're looking for, if you have like 50,000 contacts and you want to bring up a list of 50,000 contacts, hopefully you have really good internet speeds because it's going to try and pull that information. But keep in mind, that's why we're going to talk about organization as well as how to just, organize your clients so you can bring up lists so the number of contacts shouldn't actually matter. So Haley, what's the tips for the new users we have?
So for new users, you want to build this habit early on so that you have it for the rest of the time that you use Redtail. And that's to use, it's Leo shaking. To use the little person icon to access or see the last 12 recently viewed contacts. So within Redtail, you're going to click on that little person icon and it's going to show you the last 12 contacts that you yourself viewed. So that's just up here in the top right-hand corner. And then recent. So this is a great way. You don't have to, what I see a lot is searching in the top left corner, going back to a contact record that you were on, or I see a lot of going to contacts, going to the A to Z list, going to the appropriate letter for their last name, and then clicking on the contact, especially as your contacts list gets bigger and bigger and it includes everyone besides your clients or in addition to your clients, it's going to be more useful to remember that recently viewed icon to go back to the recently accessed contacts and then a quick link to lists, which we'll talk about later in other sessions.
Awesome. Also, from the page you're on, Haley, on that contacts page, the next one is the recently added contacts. So if you click contacts on the left and then up at the top, once you're on this page, you click lists, you'll see recently added as an option. And so this will show you any contact that has been recently added. So if you want to see what's been going on, who's adding contacts, it's a great way to see what's going, where they're coming from at least.
So here's ours, yeah. All right, so that's your recently added. For experienced users, this is a newer feature. And if you've been using Redtail for a while, a couple of weeks, maybe months ago, this little star icon popped up all over the database. And that's so you can designate your own favorites. Now, what's really important about your favorites for you experienced users is that your favorites are your own. My favorites are not Curtis's, and Curtis doesn't know if he's on my favorite list or not.
That's true. So like favorites themselves are user specific. If you check somebody and that's that star icon next to any of the contacts, if you select that star icon and it's filled out, up at the top on the contacts page, you can click on favorites and it's going to list all of the contacts that you deem as a favorite. I see a lot of times people are going to mark their favorites for the contacts that they're currently working on. So for those times where maybe there's like 15 to 20 contacts that I'm currently going through right now, not all of them are going to stay in my recently viewed because it only shows the last 12. But if I mark them all as favorites, I can actually be working with them. Let's say, for instance, I use it for client reviews. When their client review is done, I unmark them as a favorite. So I'm no longer having to work on after all their follow-up has been done. They're not going to come back again until I'm going to be working with them. It's really up to you to decide because it is a pretty new feature we're still seeing users use this in so many different ways. So as the time goes on, you're going to see us giving some more, examples of how you can be using this. But I absolutely love this feature just to make it a little faster to find those contacts.
Yeah, I love that tip, Curtis. I hadn't heard that tip yet, and I absolutely love it to say who I'm currently working on. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Another tip for experienced users is to set the contact viewing preference. So already in this topic, we've mentioned going to the contacts on the left-hand menu. And another new feature is that when you go to contacts, you can actually decide which one of these it defaults to. So mine defaults to quick lists, which is under lists and quick lists. And that is a great fast way for me to always get to my quick lists. But really the feature that I'm talking about here is the preference under your name and your preferences to say under default contact screen. So up here at the very, very top under general options, you can set it to favorites, contacts A through Z, advanced search, any of those options recently added. If you're maybe in a database with a lot of permissions or contact management, you want to see who's recently being added to the database, that's a great option.
Yeah, and actually this preference came from when we added the favorites tab. It was the first tab, and a lot of people weren't actually using it yet. And so a lot of people were discouraged about clicking on contacts because they had another step. Well, this preference, and a lot of people might not know, gives you the ability to override it automatically going to favorites. Again, take it to the page that works for you. And so that, again, anything in your preferences is not going to affect another user. So it's only affecting you.
Absolutely.
Right. And then the tip we have for everybody is when you search in the top of the CRM, that search contacts preference, you can actually set in your preferences for it to auto redirect if there is only one contact. And what that means is, Haley, let's go to the CRM again. In the top where it says search contacts up here, if I were to type in a first name or a last name, and there's only, or maybe an email address or something like that, and there's only one contact record that meets that criteria, it's going to automatically take me to that contact. So let's say we don't have Rachel Green in there yet, because I believe tomorrow she's going to end up being a prospect or a lead itself. So we're going to search, we got Phoebe Buffet, and when Haley hits enter, oh, we're going to spell things. There we go. There we go. Hits enter. It's going to take us directly to her contact because she's the only person with the name Phoebe. Now, that search contacts is not just for first and last name. This will search email address, phone number, tax ID, account number, and employer. So any of those things that you type in, as long as another contact record doesn't have something like that similar in those fields, that contact will auto redirect for you. Now, again, that's a preference. You can turn that off if you don't want by going to your name in the top right and going to preferences. When you turn that off, all it means is if you search something and there's only one contact, they're going to show just one contact in a list, and then you'll have to click on the name of the contact. So that's why we suggest to go into your preferences, scroll down to where Haley's going, and choose where it says searching, turn on the auto redirect. All right, and so again, it's just to help, so it's gonna save you a click later on, because if there's just one contact in your search, I'm gonna go to their record anyway. Might as well go directly there.
All right, so that takes us back to our crossword puzzle here. So we are on number 4. We're going to go in order, and this time we're going down. Contacts are linked to one another via their what? And it's a long word.
It looks like Kara got it. We got Laura got it as well.
Tammy got it.
People, there we go. A lot of people are getting this. I see a few wrong ones. Now remember, we got an L, T, and an S in there, and people are giving us words without an L. So Haley, what is the answer?
I know when I'm doing crossword puzzles, if I come up with a word that doesn't have an L in this case, then I would go back and think all the other words are wrong. But we know these words are right. So most of you guys got it. The answer is relationships. Contacts are linked to one another via their relationships. And I know a lot of you answered memberships, and memberships is a type of relationship. There are multiple ways to link your contacts together to show their relationships, and memberships is one of those.
Right. What do we have for new users, Haley?
For new users, we want to focus on adding clients to their immediate family members, the tax definition of their family members within the Redtail family section. And to do that under their name, if they don't have a family, you're going to choose create a new family, and it'll have this link up at the top of their contact record. So, and then I easily add family member information from the family page. Now this feature, I think it's maybe 6 months old. It's newer, but I feel like it's not been maybe found as much as it, I think it's so convenient. So I'd like to point it out to you.
Even though I knew it was added, 6 months ago, like it's just the past few weeks when I've really understood like the benefit of this feature. And so what Haley's saying is when you actually go into the family section of a contact and you add them, you can actually edit the contact details of any of those contacts from the family section now. Before, you would have had to load each individual contact record. You had to click on them, go into their name, go to their contact details. So a lot of the times when someone would add a contact with a spouse and you have to go into the spouse afterwards, this is a way to make it a little bit faster. So we're in Monica Geller's record. And Haley, why don't you go ahead and finish directing us?
So we're going to click on the family name, which in this case is the Bing family. And when we click on that name, we can see Chandler, Monica, and then both of their children. But imagine we were adding them for the first time, or maybe we're just updating them too. Instead of going to Chandler's record, updating his client details like his gender, his date of birth, his status, his category, his source, his referred by, like all of these, servicing, writing advisor, all of these fields, I can access all of that by clicking on that little person icon from the family page. So boom, I get to update Chandler, then I save, and then I go to Monica, and here's Monica's client details from this page. We update those, and then we move on to child 1, child 2, all the way through child 7, or how many there are. And it's very convenient.
It really makes a difference when you're updating all the information inside of a whole family, because you have all their information right there. If you're adding them in, this is really the best way to change the contact details. And in my opinion, the contact details box is probably the most important section of any contact record, other than the name of the contact. Knowing their name is pretty important, but knowing why they're in your database is probably the second, and again, just my opinion, but the second most important thing in your database.
I absolutely support that. And even the name is required, right? The name is the only thing that Redtail requires. But being able to search on, report on, and really just filter your contacts relies heavily on that contact details. How many times do we get a phone call around Valentine's Day that we want females over or under a certain age for a Galentine's luncheon, right? Or all of our married couples for whatever reason, like putting in this information is essential to sending those targeted campaigns or targeted communications.
All right, so the next tip we have in regards to relationships for our experienced users is actually creating searchable relationships. So there's a whole section called professional contacts in each individual contact. This is different from family and different from memberships. Professional contacts is another form of relationships. So you can set up who the person's CPA is, who the power of attorney is. You can do a center of influence. This is actually, we have a list that's preset where it has things like attorney, doctor, CPA, power of attorney, but you can also add to it. It's a customizable list if you want to add other professions. And so again, in the contact record, if you go to the left-hand side and click on Know Your Client, then from there, you're going to see a tab that says Professional. And then we have Professional Contacts. And when you hit Add, it's going to ask you to link it to a contact record. This is linking directly to another contact. And so if we're going to set up Chandler and then choose the profession. So this is saying Chandler is going to be the accountant for Monica Geller. That's how this is setting up. This is also a searchable field. So you can run searches for, let me see everybody who has Chandler Bing as an accountant. Again, it's customizable to choose the profession, even though we have a lot of setup in there, but it's just a great way to mark another type of relationship inside Redtail.
I think he's an accountant, but nobody really knows what he does anyway, right?
He's a transponder, whatever that is.
And then for everyone, that's where memberships come into play. Memberships are great for a reference item. I always say they're for reference. They're just to help you kind of get your bearings on the relationships that your contacts have with one another. And you can be as detailed with this or as high level with this as you prefer. I've worked with databases who live and work and exist in very tight-knit communities. So you've got maybe PTAs in here in Redtail as an association, and memberships are linking the different staff or members of a parent-teacher association, or the Rotary Club is a big one across the country, or churches or school organizations, any of these groups, trusts, unions, school unions. For memberships, it's essential to see who is involved with each of these groups. And then, of course, employer and employee relationships as well. So memberships is on the contact record under more, and then it's under memberships. And then in addition to everything that I just listed, I'd say those are all extra nice to have. This is also where you put extended family, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins.
I always like to call this a spider web. So think of memberships as a way of viewing how one contact is connected to everybody else, because a spider web has all these different, links going on every different direction. Well, you can focus on, let's just look at Monica and see every other contact in my database, who she's related to. So if you want to list the roommates, her neighbors, you can list anything. You can list who, link her to Gunther as, the coffee shop, or barista. You can link it however you want. You got to also define what those relationships are. It gives you a lot of power just to see how all of your contacts interact with each other.
I think you hit on it right there with power. It gives you the power to see what you want to see. All right, we're almost done here with number 5. All activities, notes, documents, etc. Those are organized by blank. Answer us in the chat. Activities, notes, documents are organized by...
Ooh, I see one. Kathleen got it right.
It's a tough one. It's getting more and more tough.
There we go. We're seeing a few coming in.
Good guesses.
Some people have said records, dates, family. Well, Haley, what's the right answer here?
Oh, Robin got it too. Robin and Kathleen, category. We are organizing these items by category. Everything falls back under category within Redtail. So what I mean by that is that when you're adding a note or an activity, category is one of the selectable fields here. So under note.
And again, it's customizable too. So you have control over what's in this dropdown. It gives you, again, the word I like to use, power. It gives you power in your reporting by using the category field.
Yes, so our system types are customer service, general info, policy support, technical support, and underwriting information. You don't have to use any of these. I do recommend using general information when it's something you're never going to need to report on, but you just need marked in the database for posterity. So let's look at our tips for new users for categories.
So the first one, select from available categories when adding notes, activities, or documents. Use the categories function. So Haley mentioned general information is great. If it's something that you just need to notate and move on, you won't need to report on. But I've seen so many issues where people have reached out after using Redtail for a few years and they say, I want to pull a report of all of the notes that were made for client review notes. And then I ask, well, how are they categorized? And they say, we mark everything as general information. You lose out on the power. Okay, so again, get in the habit of using the category dropdown for your notes, your activities, even documents if you use the CRM document storage to make it easier to report on that information later on.
Absolutely, and to build on that, it all goes back to putting the information into Redtail with a purpose. A lot of times we get those phone calls that we want to pull information out with a purpose, but it wasn't put in with a purpose. So for you administrators, you database organizers, advisors, whoever is the organizer or the admin in your database, create additional options on the database category list for reporting. And you can do that by going under your name in the top right-hand corner to manage your account, and then scrolling all the way down to manage database lists. And then on that page, you can add categories. I'm not going to go into it specifically right now because we are going to talk about this section in many other sessions throughout today and tomorrow as well. And if you're not an administrator, it's not a bad thing. That means it's someone else's responsibility to go in and add these.
Absolutely true. All right. And so for everyone, let's talk for everyone, we have report on notes and activities with certain categories. So you can report on this information. So in the CRM, when you actually go to reports on the left-hand side, we're going to focus on either activities or notes report. They both act very similar, but let's go to notes by contact, Haley. When you click on a report, and again, when I said, hey, I want to run and see all of the client review notes, I can go to the notes by contact report, choose filter in the top right-hand corner. And then in this list of filter options, I have note categories. And I can say, show me every single note with this specific category. So you can really see if you're only marking things as general information, you're going to lose out on this ability. If you don't use the categories, be sure and make sure that you're typing in something in the body of the note at least. So if type in client review, because the text in the note is still reportable. And again, that's only if you're not using categories. Make sure and be consistent with those.
Consistency is key, right? It all goes back. It's not in our nature, but we want to try our best to be consistent, especially with data entry and Redtail.
All right, last crossword.
Our last question is number 6. Efficiency means managing and staying on top of my daily. There we go. Everybody was answering this one. It's tasks. Good job, everybody. We've completed our crossword. We can now go on to the rest of our day.
Here we go. So new users, we have manage daily activities from the today page. So you can also get to past due. So when you first log in, if you haven't changed your default login page, you're going to see it'll say things to do today, and it'll show you your activities that are assigned to you. Okay, so you got to make sure and do those tasks. Now, honestly, sometimes you don't get everything done every single day. So from this same page, you can hit past due in the top right-hand corner, or even in the bottom left, how Haley was pointing, to show me the past due items. So that means it was something assigned to me before today. Had a due date before today. I need to make sure that's actually my number one priority. Before I get today's activities done, I want to get past due activities done first, or maybe roll them over and reassign them. I can manage them from there.
And then for you experienced users, you're going to sort and prioritize tasks in the My Workflow tasks. So tasks can be activities or part of a workflow. And typically, if you're starting out as a new user, you're going to use activities for a good 3 months before you're comfortable in the system. And then after that, you're going to start using workflows to manage more of those repeatable processes. So if you're an experienced user and you're using workflows, you're going to go to the Today page, and in the top right-hand corner, there's My Workflow tasks. You can sort by this page. You can see everyone's workflow tasks. And then I like to just sort via due date or task. So you can group like items together. If you've got to prepare for 3 client reviews, you might want to knock all those out at once and then sort by due date to do the highest priority items first.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's really a thing to keep in mind. This is going to into our next thing for everybody. Workflow tasks and activity tasks, calendar tasks are 2 separate things. There's not really a place where you can get a full list of everything, because workflows are a process, activities are action items. So in this case, for the tip that we have for everybody is going to be, if you want to view both activities and workflow tasks, you want to do it from the calendar page. Okay, so this is for everybody. When you go to the calendar page, up at the top, you can choose actions, and you can make sure that it says, it should say hide workflow tasks. That means they're showing. But if it says show, click on that, and then all your workflow tasks are going to show as an all-day event on the calendar. So for those of you who want to see actual calendar items and workflow tasks all on one page, this is where you want to come. Go to the calendar and make sure that you're viewing your workflow tasks.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.